Hi, this is Kevin Trainer. Welcome to my tutorial for how to read a grading feedback report for a practice assignment. Now, this video is the second in a two-part series. The first one was on how to read a grading rubric for a practice assignment, and this is how to read the grading feedback report for a practice assignment. So if you've gotten here and you've not done the first part, please go find the first part and give that a play first. Okay? So here we are. This is a grading rubric for a practice assignment. It's actually the grading rubric for the one of the assignments we're doing in the current week in my IS 430 course, which is a Python programming course. And as you'll know from the other tutorial, I've got a base point allocation of 23 points for submitting the file on time. There are 16 points for submitting a properly named and properly formatted file. There are 10 points. So for the non kind of content things, for like handing it in on time and naming it right and doing all that kind of stuff, organizing it right, you can get up to 49 points. The rest of the points, the other 51, I call content points. And for the kind of practice assignment that we have here, which is a coding assignment, those points go for exercises, and we've got required or regular exercises, and we have an optional challenge exercise. The exercises collectively add up to potentially 51 points worth of credit, and these points I call content points. They have to do with the content of what you submit rather than its formatting or timeliness or anything like that. Okay, so the amount of points that you earn for each of the exercises, in this case, there are two parts. There's the completeness, which has 7 available points, and then there's the technique, which has 8 available points. And then we go on and on and on. So, there's the one other thing that I want to remind you of, which is talked about at the very bottom, which says that there's a grade adjustment deal. It says the total number of content points available to be awarded on this assignment is 51. That's typical. An adjustment of up to 36 content points may be made for submissions that have a low content point score and yet meet the following criteria. And the criteria are: assignment must be submitted on time, and then work submitted must show good faith effort on all required exercises. And then it goes on to say, to qualify for this point adjustment deal, you do not have to submit the optional challenge exercise. Okay, so how's this going to work out, and how do you read the form? Okay, so what I've done is I've worked out 5 examples of how a student might do on this assignment and what the feedback form would look like. So let's look at example 1. Okay, the name of the student appears where I have the name example 1. So feedback 4, example 1, and then let's make this a little smaller. In the footer, you can see feedback for example 1. So when you get this back instead of example 1, it would say your name. Okay, so let's see how student example 1 did. Well, they handed in the assignment, so they got the base points, 100% of the base points. Okay. The timeliness, they were late. Okay. So they got 0%. Okay. They lost 16 points. The file submitted, they they met all the expectations. They got 100% of 10 points. Okay. Now, one of the things here, we get into the exercises, into the content points, and you'll notice we have this box up here, missed requirements. So all the requirements that are on the rubric, if you miss them, the grader can check a box and have it show up here as a way of explaining why you didn't get 100%. Okay. The grader can also enter some comments that would end up, I think it's the last of the boxes. It's called other comments. Okay. So we can see here that of the 7 available points, this person only earned only 75% of them because they only met most expectations, not all. And then in terms of missed requirements, it's saying must produce expected quantity of results. So we're thinking that maybe all the results that we were expecting were not there. And 75% times 7 available points gives you 5.25 points. So that's how it works. Okay. If you met all the requirements, you won't see this box. You'll just see the percent credit and the points. Okay. If you got other comments, you'll see yet another box. But if you don't have any other comments, you'll never see that box. Okay. Now the technique again, 75% meets most expectations. Missed 2 of the requirements, earned 6 points. Okay. And now in exercise 2, 50% meets some expectations for completeness. Earned half of the points, 3.5 out of 7. Technique, same thing, 50%, 4 out of 8. Okay, so you can see here that student example 1 is having a bit of a hard time, and on top of that, they handed in this thing late, so they're not going to get the grade deal. Okay. And then on exercise 3, having trouble again, got 50%, and then having trouble on the technique, got 25%. Now we come down to exercise 4, the optional challenge exercise. There's only 2 and 3, a total of 5 points here, and it wasn't submitted, and not everybody's going to submit this, so this is okay. So how did the score turn out? Well, the total points turned out to be 58 points, okay? There were no additional content points awarded because the student in example 1 didn't qualify for the points deal. So they got the 24.75 content points. They got other points earned. Those are the points up at the top. They got 33 points. They missed the 16 points for on time. That would have gotten them to 49. Uh, and then they just got a 58. Okay. They would have done substantially better if they had just gotten these same imperfect um, uh, uh, work. If they handed in the work with the same imperfections and they did it on time, they would have scored substantially better. They would have wound up with an 85. So let's take a look at what that would look at. Let's look at example 2. If I remember, example 2 is the same in every respect, but is on time. Let's look at the bottom. Yeah, see how we got 85. So let's go back to the top. So the base points, they handed in the work, they got their base points. The timeliness, yes, 100%, 16 points. File submitted, 100% at 10 points. So they got all 49 of those points, right? And then on top of that, again, for the 3 exercises that they handed in, they did the same way that we did in example 1. So they got a 75 and a 75 on exercise 1. Where am I? That was exercise 1. Okay, exercise 2, they got a 50 and a 50. That's the same that we had in example 1. Exercise 3, we had a 50 and a 25. That's the same. Okay. Exercise 4, they did not submit. This is the optional challenge exercise. Not everybody's going to submit. That's fine. But they've qualified for the point adjustment deal. So they only earned 24.75 content points, 24.75 of the 51 content points, but we gave them an adjustment of 11.25. That brings them to 36, and that 36 and the 49 equals 85. So again, they've had trouble here, right? And they're going to want to be paying attention because 11.25 of these points were not for the work that they turned in, right? They were sort of a reward for going through, well, for doing a good job of trying, right? Now, should you be worried about these 11.25 points? I think you should be worried to the extent that on a final assignment, you won't get these points. Okay? So you've got to figure out what you're doing wrong and what you're getting wrong such that when you won't be getting this extra help, you won't need it because you won't be making those mistakes. Okay, and you can't score less than 85. You can't ruin the semester on an assignment that goes badly. Okay, provided that you make a good faith effort on all the required parts, and they hand it in on time. Okay, so let's look at example 3. Example 3. This is a person who got exercises 1, 2, and 3. They got 100% on them. Okay. And they didn't do the challenge exercise, but they made a mistake on handing in the file. And I want to show you here that just by making mistake in handing in your file, you can lose a lot of points. Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay, let's go a little smaller than that. All right. So the name of the student here is example 3. They get the base points, 100% of them. The timeliness, they get all those. The file submitted, they get 0, does not meet expectations because they didn't hand in a zip file. Maybe they handed in a RAR file, and they named their file the wrong way. Now, 10 points seems like a lot to lose, but you'd be amazed at how these things just grind grading to a halt. Okay, and it's not really feasible for us to put all the energy into grading that we do if you guys can't meet these expectations with respect to the file. So this example 3 student is losing the 10 points for the file. On exercise 1, they get 100 and 100, so they get all the points for exercise 1. The same for exercise 2, 100 and 100. The same for exercise 3, although it's kind of spread out here, they get 100 and 100. They don't submit exercise 4, it's optional. Okay. All right. So they've gotten 46 of the 51 content points. Okay. And they have an overall comment on the whole assignment here. Good work on this assignment. Okay. So the content point earns 46. Okay. That's what you would earn if you got 100% on all of the required exercises. Additional content points awarded 0 because you only get help here if you score less than 36 content points. So this student didn't need help on content points. The other points earned, they're only 39. It would have been 49 if they had handed in a proper file. And so now they get 85. If they had handed in a proper file, they would have got 95. So that problem on the file really cost a lot of points. Okay, so let's see. Let's go look at the student example 4, and they're going to do the same thing that example 3 did, but they are not going to make the mistake on the file. Okay. All right. What's that going to look like? Well, they got the 23 base points. Okay. They got the 16 for timeliness. They got the 10 for this file submitted. Okay, so these points add up to 49. Okay, they got all the points on the non-content points, and then on the content points on the exercises. For exercise 1, they got 100%, 100%, so that's all the points. The same for exercise 2, they got all the points. The same for exercise 3, they got all the points. And let's say that they didn't, they decided that they weren't going to submit the optional challenge exercise, which is fine. Okay, so they didn't score points for that. That could have been as high as 5 points. Okay, they got an overall comment on the assignment. Good work on this assignment. Okay, and then let's see what they got. Well, the content points earned were 46. Okay. Um, Five of the 51 points are allocated to the optional challenge exercise. Additional content points awarded. They didn't get any awarded because they're only awarded when you fall below 36. Other points earned, they got all 49. And then the total points are 95. So if you do sort of a perfect job on everything, but you don't do the optional challenge exercise, well, then you get a 95, a good square A. Okay? All right, so how can you score more than 95? Let's go up and look at example 5. Okay, on example 5, the student's going to do all those other things we did before. Okay, but they are going to hand in the challenge exercise. So let's look at how that goes. Let's go down to the optional challenge exercise. So on completeness, they're only getting half the points. Oh, okay, and these optional challenge exercises are challenging. Okay, so could you try hard and still come up short? Sure, you could. They're they're harder than the regular exercises. Okay, so maybe 50% meeting some expectations is is okay. Okay. Um, so of the 2 points, they earned one. And then down in here in the technique, they missed a couple things. They got 75% meets most expectations. So they got 2.825 there. Okay. Um, they got an overall comment, good work on this assignment. And then they got a 98. So had they got 100% on the two parts of exercise 4, they would have scored 100. But it's going to be hard to get all 5 points on those um, optional challenge exercises. Again, uh, a good meets all expectations job on a practice assignment is going to get you 95 points. To get from 95 to 100, you're going to have to do it on the optional challenge exercise, and it's tough going. Okay, will people get hundreds? Yeah, they probably will, but um, it's going to be tough to get there. So I guess I've come to the end here. What are the takeaways? Well, this is all designed such that if you um, if you start your assignment early enough to make a good faith effort on all the required parts, and you hand it in on time, and you do a good job of following directions in terms of the file that you submit and what's in it and how you name it. Well, no matter how much trouble you get into, you won't do worse than 85. Okay? So always hand it in on time. And the reason for that is, again, if you see our solutions before you try to do it, you won't learn much. You really won't. I mean, uh, um, because once you know how to do it, it's easy. Okay? A little suffering in terms of trying to figure it out on your own, it may probably getting it right, but maybe having some trouble. That's where all the learning goes on. Okay, well, that's all I have to say here. Um, I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye bye.